All right, guys, so this is going to be a quick one, but basically, this is what I did to go from homeless to millionaire, right? So I'm going to go through step by step. It's going to be very practical as well, exactly what I did to go from poor, bottom 10%, probably bottom 5% of the population in the United States, to the top 1%, basically, of the population in the United States, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the computer right now, and we'll get into it. All right, so first thing, this is probably going to be relatively obvious to some people, but maybe not so obvious to other people, but I got a good job, right? Basically, I made a stable income. So basically, what happened is I was born, and for the first like 7 years of my life or so, I was probably like middle class. My dad had a pretty good job working at like a gold mine, um, and working as an engineer, etc. So I was pretty much middle class. And then one day, uh, I was at the babysitter, and my dad got his legs crushed. Okay, he got his legs crushed, and he didn't come home. And then he finally came home like the next day or the day after that, something like that. And he was in a wheelchair at that point, and it was pretty crazy time in my life. Like hard to even process that, to be honest. But basically, after this, we were poor. Okay, my dad had a lot of trouble finding work because he was crippled, and yeah, we were just pretty poor after this. So it went from middle class to poor, and at one point we were even homeless. But even when we weren't homeless, we were living in trailer parks, Section 8 housing. That's like if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a government program housing for super poor people. Also, Salvation Army, um, and then really terrible apartments, like basement apartments that probably shouldn't have even been legal because they weren't wired correctly. But yeah, the way I got out of this is I got a good job. Now, what I did to do this is I actually became a pharmacist. I don't recommend most people do this because it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. And at the time, this was, I'd say, is a decent decision. There wasn't a lot of content on the internet and people to tell me to make a better decision. So I'd probably give myself maybe like a B minus for this decision. There weren't as many opportunities back then. But these days, what I really recommend is just learn an in-demand skill. So something like digital marketing, sales, different technology-related careers. There's a lot of really good ones in technology, data analytics, software development, IT, etc. Cybersecurity is another one, CS, cybersecurity. So yeah, learn an in-demand skill, and it's relatively easy to learn these. You can just do like certifications. You don't necessarily have to go to college. Yeah, certifications, online courses, mentorships. If you can find somebody who knows it, they can mentor you on it. Yeah, just like pretty easy to learn for free or close to free, basically. So this is what's known as alternative education, and this is an opportunity that you have right now that most people didn't have in the past. So there's other things outside of college where you can actually get educated and get a good job so that you're actually making a stable income. This is what you want. You want to be making a stable, predictable income, right? And what you really want, if possible, is this would be number one. Like this is your number one option. Get paid to learn in-demand skills. Most people are this is the opposite of what most people are doing because most people are paying to learn skills that are kind of questionable. A lot of the time, they're even not in demand, or it's questionable about whether they're in demand or not. Like think about a lot of college degrees, right? Number two, just a high-paying job. Maybe it's not a super in-demand skill, but just pays you really well. This was kind of what I was in. I was a pharmacist, so I was making about 10K per month. It's a really really good job, high-paying. And then three, this is like the third best option, but it's something that you can do if you absolutely have to, and that is just a warm body job. And basically what this is usually not high paying, usually not in demand. So it's not like a super valuable skill like sales that's going to help you in the future, that's going to help you achieve your future goals. It's usually not in demand. It's usually not high paying, but it's easy and you have a ton of free time. And if possible, for all three of these, if possible, get a remote job, because remote jobs just tend to be a little bit better in almost every way. And they give you a certain amount of freedom without even having to, be a business owner. So warm body job would be something like IT, doing IT. I know I had a friend who did like overnight IT at a factory, and he was able to start a business online by doing that, right? So yeah, warm body job, basically where you can just work while you're kind of just like on call, and you don't necessarily have to do anything, and you can kind of just like work on your business while you're doing your work, right? So this is a pretty good one because it frees up a lot of your time. This is a really good one because you make more money, and therefore you can trade that money for time. And then this one is a really good one because you're getting paid to learn in-demand skills, which is just super valuable. You can't really even put a number on it. Okay, so one, I got a good stable job. That was incredibly important. Two, I made videos and content to solve problems for the past version of myself. So I basically pretended like I was making videos for myself a few years before. And like, what could I have told myself that would have saved me more time, effort, and money? What could I have told myself that would have saved me a ton of time, effort, money, and maybe pain as well? Just like making it more convenient. And I made a list of things that I'd, just gotten good at, or problems that I'd solved. And this list involved grant writing. I'd gotten relatively good at grant writing, saving money, being frugal, basic investing, college and college degrees, careers, alternative education, etc. Right? So I just made a list of all these things, and I started making content for the younger version of myself. That's what I did. I started making content, and then what I did, which is number 3, is I took the best performing content and I ran with it. Now, the content that did the best was the college degree content. And so I started creating way more. This is what the market wanted. So I started creating way more of the college degree content, and this is how I grew my channel originally. Now, the great thing is, if you make a personal brand, like Shane Hummus, for instance, is a personal brand, you could actually just switch your niche later on down the line. Whereas if I were to have called my channel, grant writing wizard or college degree professor or something like that, I wouldn't be able to switch the niche of my channel. But because I had a personal brand, I can switch niches, which I did later on down the line several times. But in the meantime, I basically created my own teaching style, and it was unique, right? I created my own style of making YouTube videos, my own teaching style, which was unique. And a great way to do this is by stealing like an artist. And what this means is, instead of stealing from 1 to 3 people, like most people do, I stole, and basically not just stealing from 1 to 3 people, but stealing a lot from 1 to 3 people. I stole a little from like 100 people, right? So I would, if I liked this guy's camera, I would steal the camera. If I liked this guy's lens, I would steal the lens. If I liked this guy's color grade, I'd steal the color grade. If I like that guy, the way he uses music, I'd steal the music. If I like that guy, the way that he edits in a certain way, like the way he does his jump cuts, I'd do the jump cuts, et cetera, right? So instead of stealing a lot from 1 to 3 people, I stole a little bit from like 100 people, right? And that's how you create, this is how you create something completely unique. Whereas a lot of people, what they do is they're like little Casey Neistat clones. Don't be little Casey Neistat clones, or Peter McKinnon clones, or Graham Stephan clones, right? It's no good. Don't do that. And then once I had this big audience, I figured out what problems my audience needed help with that I couldn't help them solve just with the videos, right? And what is this called? This is called a product or service, right? So I personally created a product. And actually, at first I didn't create products. At first, I would just market other people's products. And this is called affiliate marketing. But that's how I started making really good money outside of just the AdSense alone. Because yes, I was already making money from AdSense, but you don't want to rely on AdSense, right? You want to be making money from other sources as well. So I figured out what they want and I packaged it into digital products. Sometimes they were my own digital products, sometimes they were other people's digital products. And this is how I went from making like maybe 10K to, 10K per month, something like that, all the way to making, 30K to 100K per month. Okay. Because I was making 10K per month with just AdSense. Sometimes I'd even make a little bit more. And of course, I also had my pharmacy income. So sometimes I would even make like somewhere between 10 to 30K per month, depending on the month with the AdSense and also my pharmacy income if you add that. But then I kind of got stuck there for a while. And it wasn't until I figured out really how to make good money with affiliate marketing and creating my own products that I got to like 30 to 100K per month. And then I basically just repeated the process and I, measured stuff and I simply did more of what was working and did less of what wasn't working, right? So it's an ongoing process. Even my niche, right? Even my niche, sometimes I don't like my niche anymore, or sometimes I do like my niche, but it's just like the audience doesn't want any more of it. And so I'd switch niches. I'd switch formats of videos that I choose. I switch the types of products I promote as well, depending on what my audience wanted. And of course, obviously I'd have to make sure the product is good enough. And yeah, I just repeated the process. I'd measure stuff and I would optimize. And that is how I got to 300K per month plus, right? And yeah, that is literally the step that I took, guys. And this is steps that you all can take, right? So number one was, I'll just put it again here, get a job, just so you can see all of them together. You got to get a stable job, get a steady, stable income. You can't really start a business if you don't have some sort of runway, some sort of stable income. So get a job. Hopefully you're learning in-demand skills. If not, hopefully you're getting paid really well. And if not, at the very least, get a job that's like a warm body job, something like overnight IT or being a security guard, something like that, right? Then I made videos and content to solve problems for the past version of myself. This is what I teach other people how to do as well. You can check it out in the description and the pinned comment below. And then I took the best performing content and ran with it. And then I created my own teaching style. I formulated it over time by basically just stealing a little bit of stuff from a lot of people, right? And then I figured out what problems my audiences needed help with that I couldn't solve with just videos alone. And I packaged that into digital products. Sometimes it was my own digital products. Sometimes it was other people's digital products. And then I just repeated the process. I measured stuff. I optimized it. I did more of what was working and less of what wasn't working. And this was basically just an ongoing process that never ends. And that's how I was able to get to, multiple six figures per month. So that's how it was done, guys. It's that simple. I'm not some kind of genius. I literally just, life gave me lemons and I made lemonade from it. Life threw a lot of problems at me. And I talked about my problems and talked about how I was able to overcome those problems online. And I helped other people overcome those problems. And then I shared exactly how I did it. And that is how I got rich. It's just that simple. The world is going to throw difficulties at you, problems. And as an entrepreneur, if there's one thing you remember, the number one thing that entrepreneurs do, guys, I'll put this down here. If there's one thing you remember this. Entrepreneurs, if I can spell it right, solve problems. That's what they get paid to do. So when life throws problems at you and you have to solve them, you can see that as an opportunity. You can take those lemons and you can turn them into lemonade. Okay? And then you can talk about it document your journey on YouTube, and make a bunch of money helping a bunch of other people overcome the same exact problems. It's a beautiful thing. Take advantage of it.